You see, and I realized that almost everybody who came for deliverance, their middle name was used by a demon.
Wow.
So the person is called Alice Ntriwa Ochre. Then the demon manifests. What's your name? My name is Ntriwa.
Indeed, the greatness of God is working for us. As we all know, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. It's our prayer that as we are all waiting upon the Lord, may we all receive the strength to also receive testimonies. It's on this note I want to thank you all for the great support, for always sharing, liking, and also subscribing to all our activities. God richly bless you, our dearest generational changes. As I said, we will always bring your way a very great segment of our talk show. Bless you. I'm always grateful and always happy whenever I have you all with me, and whenever I have to bring someone great, a personality, great personality who has achieved a lot, who has been through a lot, to come on our show to inspire us. So today I have this great man with us, but don't forget, my name is still Inshiraba Ajak, your adorable host. I have with me this great man. He's an apostle and a doctor, a counselor, a man of all. So you're welcome, Apostle Dr. John Craft. Is Craft? I want to get the right spelling of this.
Egyir Croffet.
Croffet.
John Gordon Egyir Croffet. The Egyir is EGYIR -CROFFET. Egyir Croffet. It's a fancy name.
So you have given me the name. I didn't actually know how to pronounce it, so forgive me for
That's
that.
Okay. I've had several pronunciations of my name, so I'm used to it.
That is great. And you're looking so sweet. You're really looking so handsome. We thank God for that. Yeah. So then who is Apostle Dr. Croffet Egyir?
Well, we can just call me Daddy Croffet. That's what most people call me. When you are young, you are called Brother Croffet. When you get to a certain age, you are called Uncle Croffet. Then when you get a bit older, you call Daddy Croffet. Yes. Someone was correcting somebody when the person said, "Oh, there's a great man of God." Then he said, "Oh, I am a man of the great God." Yes, but I've already said my name, John Gordon Egyir Croffet. I was born in Koforidua 65 years ago. My father was a teacher, my mother too was a teacher. Yeah, they met in University College and they got married after school. Okay, so my father taught high school, my mother taught basic school for years up until they retired. And so I had my upbringing in several towns. I started school in Latte, continued to Koforidua, then went to Cape Coast, then to Babane School, and back to Koforidua before I went to secondary school in Cape Coast. So I really don't have a very strong presence on any social media platform that belongs to my former mates. Because I didn't spend more than a year in many schools. So when they're talking about what happened when we were in class 8, class 7, they've been there for years. I just passed through 1 year. So I'm new everywhere. But I think that that checkered background is part of God's training for all of us. Okay, In the book that I'm publishing, I'm launching just this Saturday, I spent 2 chapters on that, on the fact that Joseph had a checkered life, and David also had a checkered life. When I say checkered, I mean it was not smooth. You see, Joseph was born in Padan Aram, came to live with his father in Beersheba. They sold him when he went to visit his brother Adothan, ended up in Egypt, in Potiphar's house, then literally ended up in prison, right? But after, he interpreted a dream for the king's wine bearer. And literally, the king's wine bearer told the king when the king had a dream that, oh, there's a certain guy in the prison who can interpret your dream. And that's how Joseph came to that light. But God has trained him and groomed him through the crucible of the hardships of life to become what he became. You see, the same thing happened to David. You know, he was a shepherd boy. He was, somebody commended him to the king to go and play the harp. You know, and he played the harp for the king for a time. When he visited his brothers at the war front, just like Joseph also visits his brothers in food. You know, and that's when he killed Goliath. And when Saul realized that David had more reputation and was having more funds from the women than he did, you know, he became jealous. And David started running from Saul for years. But at the end of the day, Saul killed himself, committed suicide, and David became king. You know, so what David passed through was God's training for him to become a king. Right? And just before he became king, when he was running away from Saul, he was doing a lot of raids on the countryside. Just go raid this place, raid this place, raid this place. Then he'll get a lot of booty, and he will come and share them for the elders of Judah. You see, and unknown to him, David, God was using his raids to weaken the nations around before he became king. So when he became king, it was very easy to subdue all of them because when he was young, he was raiding them. So when God takes you through very difficult situations, they are not actually a curse, or they are not a tragedy, but he uses them to work things out for your good. And not for your good. Many of us in this generation, we just want God to do it for our good so that we enjoy. No, life is not about enjoyment. When God does things for your good, then you also bless others with that. And the things that God does for your good, they include good things and bad things. Good things you can bless people with, bad things you can warn people about.
Thank you very much. You know, when you're talking to the pastors, when you're talking to men of God, you know, who have really entered into the highest level, they always want to push the gospel in to inspire us. And that's why I'm always happy to have them around me. You know, great men, 65 years.
Yes.
You're still looking young. Then how long have you been in the marriage? You're married how long?
I got married when I was 35 years old. Okay, so I've been married for 30 years.
30 years. And you are still in the marriage?
Yes. My wife has actually traveled for ministry to East Africa. He will be coming back this weekend.
God bless you, mommy. Please, what's her name?
Georgina.
So for mommy Georgina, yes, Lady Pastor Georgina, God richly bless you. I know that you really play a very great role in Daddy's life. That's why you're still looking young. Yeah, Daddy, you did mention that your parents were both teachers. My mom was a senior lecturer at Sunyani Technical University. Madam Vaidamita Prempe, Mom, I love you so much. And I know how when you're staying with a teacher, because she's a teacher, let me put it that way, how they would treat you. My mom, she would want you to put this thing here. If you do this here, no. How was life when growing up, especially growing up in a house of teachers as parents?
Well, I thank God for my parents. You know, I wouldn't say they were disciplinarians, but they taught as well.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was a child, I was the firstborn. I'm still the firstborn. Okay, I have 5 siblings. Yes, we are 3 guys, and then 4 guys and 2 ladies.
Yeah.
By being the firstborn, I learned to do a lot of household chores. You see, and I grew up in a very rugged environment.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Latte, I was a small boy then from class 1 to 4, class 4 first term. I was there in Latte. But when I came to Fredo, I had to now assume the role of the firstborn. So every morning I had to wash dishes, you know, and then after that, sweep, after that, go and fetch water. Those days you didn't have taps in homes. And you get up and then you go into the bathroom, there's a tap there, and then you're not using the WC. We didn't have taps in kitchens, you see. So you had to go out to the community and then go and fetch water from a standing pipe. And when you go, there will be other people also come to fetch water.
Yeah.
So you have to be in a queue. when it's your turn, you fetch your 1 or 2 buckets, and you carry one on your head and one in your hand, carry it home. And you have to fill a barrel. Of course, because I'm going to school, I cannot fill the full barrel, but I have to fill it to about at least a half or 1/3, so that there'll be water in the house before I go to school. When I come back, I have to come and fill the rest. So I carried water several times a day.
Wow.
Yes, before I go to school. So these days, many of you have not had the kind of training we had. So you're not tough.
Yeah.
You see. And when it is Saturday, you go to farm to go and carry firewood to the house, because we didn't have gas stoves at the time, and we couldn't have afforded an electric stove. So we're using ordinary hearth. You put 3, balls of hardened clay on the ground, and then you use firewood in them. So all the cooking pots we had were blackened outside. That's how I grew up. My grandmother was a baker. They have to, when she does kneads the dough, sometimes the dough rises in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. You have to now get up and then go and bake. And then we load a lot of firewood into an igloo-shaped oven. When it's well heated, we'll scoop everything out with a certain loop, metal loop, which is shaped like a quarter moon. Okay, bring everything out, and then carry the bread into the oven. Normally we didn't use metal aluminum sheets at the time. We used ordinary leaves. So the bread is on the leaves, and you put them with a flat wooden, like tablets with a handle into the thing. And after that, when it big, they cover it with a sackcloth, a jute bag, old one, which has been soaked in water, and then put something else, another board on it.
And did you used to do all these things
yes.
when you go to school?
No.
Okay.
The baking was not done every day.
Okay.
But when my grandmother needed me, not that when she needed me, she needed us, we helped.
Yeah.
So we just go and help her bake the bread, bring the outs, and then we'll go to school.
Okay.
But I also sold things on my head. I was sold rice before.
Okay.
I was sold ofam before. You know ofam?
I think
Ofam, yes. Ofam, you make it with you use very, 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 very ripened plantain. When the plantain ripes until it becomes black and very soft, you don't throw it away. That's for fun.
Do you know what came in mind? An animal.
Oh, no. Well, that's what we call it in Gofredra. The families call it bodongo. Abodo, I-N-Y.
Okay.
So you pound the softened plantain and then mix it with some flour or Tom Brown.
Okay.
And then you put it in containers. First, you oil the container with palm oil, and then mix some palm oil of the farm, put them in this thing, an oven. So it's very nice.
Daddy, you have to come and learn all this. I want to learn how to do this, and I know that my audience also wants to learn how to do this. So definitely, one day we have to let you teach us.
Oh, it's not difficult.
It's not difficult. So that you will teach
because
us.
my mother was teaching home science those days. That now we call it home economics, but in those days we call it home science.
Okay.
So the polo that she makes, we do it with her.
Okay.
You buy the copra, grate it, and then get some flour, mix it with the copra, some bit of sugar, knead it, and then fry it. Okay.
Yeah.
When you decide to bake it, it becomes something different.
Yeah.
She prepared cakes, we sold them. She prepared other things, Lancashire nuts, we sold them. So we learned how to do all those things.
Yeah.
And then, of course, being the firstborn, I also learned how to cook at a very early age. So when I was at the university doing my masters, I was doing my own cooking. I did my own palm soup, groundnut soup, light soup, contemporary soup. I could do everything. The only thing I couldn't add at the university was to pound food, because they didn't have facilities for doing that.
But then they eat fufu.
Yes, I eat fufu.
Good.
But then we did all the soups, and I could do them myself, and I use them for something else like rice or rice ball or something.
Daddy, after the food, I have to taste your food. I have to eat it. Yes. Especially with the fufu and the ofam.
Ofam.
I have to ofam. Yes. So we have to come to Lane and also eat the fufu and the food also. So Daddy, you aside the classroom lessons that you have learned, okay, what other positive things or what other lessons have you learned in school that really help you? Did you learn in school that has really helped you in life?
Yeah, I believe that the classroom experiences include the formal structured instruction we receive from teachers, and then other things we learn aside the classroom. So the lessons, I learned some of them in every class. For example, class 1. One lesson I learned from class 1 came from an incident that happened on our day. So our day, either my mother or my auntie or my grandmother, one of them, prepared some nice food for me. And I didn't know what was in store for us. I thought that you bring your own food there and you eat it. When we got to the place, they took all our foods and put them in one pool together somewhere. Now, so what's going to happen? And then, to my shock, the teachers began to pick the best looking foods and start eating them.
Oh!
And then they shared what was there for us. I didn't taste my food. And I never forget my taste till today. You see? And from that, the lesson I've learned is that you don't assume that children are children, so you can maltreat them and think they'll forget. I'm 65 years old, I haven't forgotten what happened when I was in class 1. You see? It pained me because I wanted to have tasted that food. So because of that, I'm very careful with children. Right? I don't lie to children. I don't try to humiliate them. I don't tell a child shame. It's not right to tell a child shame. They really need shame. They do something, shame. When you do that, the child is going to live with a lot of insecurities and inferiority complex because they always feel shamed. You see, if they do something that is not right, take them aside and let them know what they did was not right. I believe in spanking. If a child does something wrong, they can be spanked, but it must be done in love. The Bible says that foolishness is tied to the heart of a child, but the rod of correction drives it far away. So it can be done, but in moderation. Okay. So I don't maltreat children because of that experience in class 1. The next experience happened in class 2. We're there, then the teacher called, Croffet, come and write your name on the board. And my name is Gordon Egyir Croffet. I had no idea how to write my name in class 2. So I stood on the board and I wrote I, now standing there. I didn't know what to write again. I felt so much shame. And then they called that boy, hey Kofi, come and write your name. Then he took a pen, he took a chalk, then he wrote Kofi Afuapa easily. I was wondering why I couldn't write my name and he could write his name. You see? So from that also I learned how to be sensitive to children. So if I'm asking a child a question or I want you to read something, I do Sunday school, and I realize you're having difficulty mentioning a word, I quickly mention it for you. I don't stand there for the next 20 years. Hey, so you can't respect, so you can't just mention this small word. Oh, how? You know? And you create embarrassment in the child's spirit. You understand? And so that is also another lesson I learned about how to treat children. The third thing that happened was in class 3. I fell in love with my class 3 teacher. You see, and I was not even 10 years yet.
Oh.
I had a crush over my class 3 teacher. You know, and she was my mother's friend. They were in the same school, but my mother was in the home science department. So later on, after I grew up, and she had also retired, and then I met her in Koforidua. She had now put on a lot of weight, but at that time she was very slim. You know, and I still liked her. You see, so if anybody tells me that children can't feel something for other people, it's not true. You see, and even when I was teaching high school, some of my own students proposed to me. my own student that I was teaching.
Female.
Yes.
But you answer. So
You
no
see,
wonder.
one girl told me, class form 2. I was 16 years old. I was teaching the class and I was saying, look, you the guys and the girls here, you must make sure that you enter relationships, keep them pure, so that you can have a good marriage, and pray that God gives you your right husbands and wives at the right time. And this girl shouted, Mr. Prophet, I want to marry you. and then all the friends were laughing at her, you see, and shouting her name. But in 2 years' time, she was now a senior, so on 4, and she was now 18 years old. One day, she met me alone when she was going to go to dining hall. And I was with her alone. It was about 6 p.m. And I said to Prophet, I really wish I had finished school so I marry you. Because she meant it.
Wow. That's really interesting. class 3, fall in love with Madam, and now student proposing to you. But one thing I learned is, know how to treat kids. Some kids are even afraid of their parents. The moment the parents are coming, they start running. So imagine teachers, please. Kids are blessings. The moment you do me here, you just shout at me, you have just discouraged me like that. And it's really true. Please, know how to treat kids. The person might not be your child, the person might be your child. Know how to treat children. They are very important, very, very important. Daddy, you were talking about knowing how to maintain relationship. And as a counselor, I want to know, when did you become a counselor and what inspired you to enter into that field?
Well, it's important to know, if you are a Christian, that in Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10, the Bible says that, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. That singular passage, holds the key to many things that happen in life. Okay. In the first place, the Bible says we are his workmanship, which means that everybody is a unique individual in God's sight. When Paul was making that statement, in those days, in the first century, we didn't have the technology for doing mass production of things. Everything was crafted as a single unit. Okay. So even if you try to craft a work of art and you try to do the same thing, there are some differences. So when the Bible says that we are his workmanship, okay, it means that everybody is unique. There are not two people who are exactly the same. Even if someone looks like you very, very, very exactly, that person's fingerprints are different from yours. So you must understand this principle, that even though you are not better than your friends, you are different from them. Okay, everybody is different. So when you say, I want to be like Inshaba, I want to be like, you cannot be like Inshaba, because Inshaba is a unique person. You understand?
Yes.
So God made all of us the way he wants us to be made. And the Bible says we have been created in Christ Jesus for good works. So there is some good works that God expects us to do, right? At a certain time in our lives, like what you are doing right now. It was ordained before you were born. And then it says God prepared that thing beforehand. Okay, which means that God has got some path for you to follow. And the end of the verse is that we should walk in them. So when I was growing up, every child does it. All of us want to enter into various kinds of careers. But now, as an older counselor and pastor, I know that there is something higher than career, and that is your calling. You see, you can embrace your calling in the context of your career. Okay, but the two are different. So I wanted to pursue veterinary medicine as a career, but I went to seek counsel from a university lecturer who's called Dr. Jama, not Professor Jama, who told me, Prophet, you know what? If you want to go into veterinary medicine, one thing you may have to do is to go into agric science first. And when you do the animal science component of it and you like it, then you could probably know that you are meant for veterinary medicine. So I did it. I chose Agric at Kenya University, I chose Agric at Legon, and I got Agric at both universities, and I came to Legon eventually. When I got to the animal science component, I liked it. Animal health, I liked it. But when we started doing agricultural production, I liked that one better. So I gave up my desire to be a vet, medical doctor. So I said, when I finished school, I was going to work for SSB Bank, which is now Société Générale, as their project officer. And about 2 years before I started work, my father died. My father was then teaching at Ghana National College. He was the assistant headmaster with my kid brother and sister staying with him. So after the funeral, I had, being a firstborn, I had a strong urge to teach in the school so that my kid brother and sister could stay with me and also get over the shock of my father's death, so that after 1 year I can come back and pursue my agricultural science pursuits. Okay. But when I had my very first class in agricultural science, Form 4, these were students who were about 17 or 18 years old. My very first class, I remember when I taught them the agric science, at the tail end, about last 5 minutes, I started talking to them about how to prepare themselves for life and bring to the future and all that. So when I finished and I was going to my office, I saw a crowd of students following me. And they came to my office. They came and started sharing their problems. Yes. You see. And then the following day, they will come. Every day they will come. Every day they will come. There was a school counselor in the school. There was a counseling office. They didn't go there, they come to my place. You see. So after 1 year, the assistant mistress called me. She's called Mrs. Fanny Kuma. And says, Croffet, the way these students are all over you, why don't you go and do counseling? And I had never thought of that. So I said, oh, is that so? Okay. So I decided to, and also when he made that decision, he asked me whether I can't go into counseling. I said, okay, I'll consider it. But then, after the 1 year, I couldn't leave. The reason why I couldn't leave is because I realized that if I left after the 1 year, there would be a very big gap. The students were depending on me for many things. So I decided to stay for a while. But then, because I did agric science at Legon, I was being paid less than those who did education at UCC because they were professional teachers. So after 1 year, when I realized that I may have to stay a bit longer than the 1 year, I decided to go and do education in UCC for 1 year. That's called postgraduate certificate in education. So I went and did the PGC and came, and then I was put on a professional level as the graduates from UCC. So I was doing teaching and then doing my counseling. I was a president of Scripture Union, and because of what and Mrs. Kuma said, I started considering counseling. But then I had applied to 2 universities in Great Britain. Scotland, I applied to University of Edinburgh to do a course there. I also applied to University of Reading to do a course there, and I got both admissions. But whenever I thought of leaving the children to go on to go do these 2 courses, I feel very sad. Whenever I think of leaving the 2 courses and staying with them and still helping them, I felt peaceful. So I was supposed to go and do an MSc in tropical animal production and health in Edinburgh. I wrote to them and said, I don't think I can come. It's okay, we'll give you the firm for 1 year. And I wrote to Reading, I was going to do agricultural management there, MA. And I said, I can't come. They just said, okay, I will give you the deferment for 1 year. So I got deferment from both universities for 1 year, you see. Then the following year, they wrote to me that, will I come? And I said, no, I can't come this year as well. And then Edinburgh said, they give me another deferment for another year. But Reading didn't say anything again. Okay. But I realized that, no, I still didn't have to go because there weren't too many patrons in the school. So that was 1988. So by 1990, some patrons had come to the school now, and I said, look, why don't I rather go and pursue masters in counseling? And that's how I ended up going to the masters in counseling. And so after doing the counseling, I entered another school as the assistant headmaster, and I was still teaching agric science, and I was the assistant master. Okay. So the question is, how did I end up in the University of Ghana?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Because of one incident.
Okay.
The incident happened with a girl called Cecilia. When I was assignment, Cecilia was always come to me, say, I have something to discuss.
Okay.
And I say, I am busy now. I'll make time for you. Then you come again, say, can I see you today? I'm busy. Say, can I see you today? And I was busy. Actually, because if you ask them aside, you are the one who is organizing the SSS students for their YC and all those things. A lot of things that you are doing. Okay. So I wasn't making time for the children. And then when it was time for the children to write their YC, one day, that school, the girls were in a hostel. One day, the students came to school, the girls, with a school truck. And when they came, where's Cecilia? She didn't join us when we were coming. Oh, is that so? Okay. They finished whatever they were doing in the school that day, went back to the dormitory and to the hostel, and Cecilia was not to be found. She had taken all her things, she had left the school. I never got to know what her problem was. She never wrote the examination, she just vanished. This is as far back as 1998 or so. I never saw Cecilia again, I never heard about her again up to now. And I said, I'm a counselor, why can't I make time in counsel? So if being an assistant headmaster is going to take all my time from the students, then I'll stop it.
Yeah.
You see. So I was very disturbed by what happened to Cecilia. And around the same time, one friend of mine came to me, hey Prophet, I've seen an advert at the University of Ghana asking for a counselor. I said, then I'll go. Because I want to get involved with students more than doing administrative work. So I applied to the University of Ghana as a counselor and I was taken. So I began work there in October 2000. And then I was there till October 2014.
That's really great. That's an interesting. Whatever Cecilia is, we pray that, and we know that by now she's in a good position also.
I hope so.
Yes. And we all need people to push her, just like how Miss Kuma also Mrs. Kuma, help you to be able to achieve, sometimes we need someone to help us to identify our hidden gifts, and then sometimes you think what you know, that is, but you have a lot in you. So try, work on yourself and bring all the hidden gifts in you. Daddy, as a counselor, at what age, the youth, the last time I went to court, because I always want to do an inquiry. I always want to know what is happening, what is going on. And I asked one lawyer, he told me that, you see, every day we get people to divorce. People bring divorce issues, cases here. And you look at the book, every week people are getting married. Every week people are divorcing. Daddy, at what age do you think someone is ready to get married?
Okay, before I answer that question, let me submit to all those watching or listening to this program that if you're a young person, one of the best things you can do to yourself, one of the best services you can do to yourself is to have a mentor.
Okay.
Because mentors are people who have got 5 things you don't have.
Yes.
1, they've got a lot of failure.
Okay.
They've made a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes they've made have taught them lessons that can help you. Number 2, they've got pain. The pain that comes from their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I have made quite a few. Number 3, they have experience. They've passed through what you have not passed through before.
Yeah.
Number 4, they have maturity, just by the fact that they're older than you.
Yeah.
And number 5, they have perspective. They can see things from an angle that you don't see.
Yeah.
You see. So if you get a good mentor, most likely your life will go right. Okay. So concerning relationships, if you are a guy, before you say anything to any girl, go and see your mentor. You see, because your mentor can help you to know whether you are old enough to enter a relationship or not.
Okay.
And maybe the youth of this generation may not agree with us, but when they grow older, they'll be forced to agree with us. You see, I don't normally encourage guys who are less than 25 to date anybody.
Okay.
because at that time, age you are young, you can father a baby, but you don't have what it takes to handle women well. The greatest problem of guys below 25 years old is insensitivity. When they are hurting a girl, they don't even feel it. It's not their fault. It's developmental. You haven't reached there. That's why you don't feel that. I mean, you don't understand how to handle the ladies. You see. So mostly in our time, guys who want to be serious with dating and marriage, I think that if they do that in their later 20s, it's better.
Okay.
You see, and most girls too, towards your middle 20s, let's say 23 plus to 25, is a good time, but not below that.
Okay.
You see, because every relationship has got a time for maturation, and most relationships mature fully within 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay.
So when relationships go beyond 2 years, most of them don't end in marriage. I mean, not all of them, but most of them don't. So if you're a 20-year-old girl, 23-year-old boy, you want to date, most likely you won't get married. Most likely you won't get married. Maybe about 1 or 2% of those people get married. So the people who are rushing to go out and date when they are in first year, second year, many of them are just going to hurt themselves. Because once you start dating somebody at that age, because you are young, it doesn't even occur to you that you must go for counseling.
Yeah.
And so the mistakes that you shouldn't make, you make them. As a counselor, one thing that amazes me a lot is the fact that older people who are in their late 20s, they'll come and say, can we come for counseling? We are dating. Then they come and they go through 12 to 14 sessions of counseling. But the younger ones don't come. Why? Because it doesn't even occur to them that they should come. And that means that you are too young. I mean, you are immature. You don't even know that you need counseling. Because you do need counseling.
You need it.
Yes, you do. You see. So it's important that you ask yourself, if I begin to go out with a guy now or with a girl now, am I willing to get married within the next 2 years or at most 2.5 years? If the answer is no, we are not ready. Let me give you an example. This gentleman comes to see my mother and my wife, and says, Mommy, we are dating. We want you to counsel us. And Mommy asks, so how old are you? And then he says, 23. Ask the girl, how old are you? She says, 20. And then Mommy says, abort it. You are too young. And so they stopped the relationship. And then 4 years passed. So the guy is now 27 and working. The girl is 24. They both graduated from the university. And then Mommy calls the guy and says, so, I can now bless your relationship. And the guy says, oh, Mommy, I'm not ready. So if you are not ready at 27, what made you ready at 23? And truly, he didn't date anyone till he was 29. And then he had a relationship that lasted about 2 years. We counseled them, introduced him to the girl's family, a different girl. And then who was then 26. And then they got married. You see. So going out too early doesn't help. Look, I know of a story of a young lady who dated her boyfriend way from JHS through SHS. So they were in the university, the boy was supporting her, and then the boy now comes and says, okay, so right now you are getting to final year, so let's start planning to settle down. And from JHS to SHS, in between they've been dating for about 10 years. And the girl says, settling down with you, because the guy has not gone to university. Now the girl has her eyes have opened, and she's met more qualified guys. And he said, no, I can't marry you. And the guy threatened, if you don't marry me, I'll kill you. He was reported. They put him in the cells for a day or so. When they released him, he killed the girl. You see. Now, a woman gets married at a very early age, about 23, and when she was getting to 60, She tells her husband, if I had grown a bit older, I wouldn't have married you. You married me when I was too young. You see? And that's actually what's happening. People go in, they are young, they don't know much, and then they get married, and later on they meet other men and women they would have loved to marry, and they are already married. You know? And that is also causing the problem. Actually, the problems about relationships, they are multiple.
Yeah.
But if you have a good counselor, it can help you to go through, navigate through the problems. Okay. So one of the reasons why relationships don't work is because people go in too early. And the second reason is because people court for too long. If you go in early, you court for too long because you're not ready. Okay. The third reason why people's relationships don't work is because the relationship becomes sexual before they get married. And any relationship that becomes sexual before you get married will not work well. Yes. God has given his protocol for relationships in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So God's principle is leave, cleave, one flesh. Leave, cleave, one flesh. You leave emotionally, psychologically, geographically, financially when you start looking at somebody you want to marry, you see, and then you don't rely too much on your parents again. But the cleaving occurs on the day you have your wedding. The one flesh is when you go for honeymoon. But now we made it leave, one flesh, cleave. It doesn't work. So the day you sleep with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you curse him or her. If you don't agree, you try it and see. It's not prudent to try it because it will happen, you see.
Yeah.
Because once you touch your husband touches you, your husband to be touches you, or you touch your fiancé, even once, you destroy trust. You see, when you get married to the same person, and then your husband sees his wife standing with, and even a young boy somewhere, he suspects something. If the woman sees the husband talking to a young woman somewhere, or another woman somewhere, she suspects something. You see, even though there may be nothing, right? You may have forgiven each other, and you may have from confessions, and God may have forgiven you, but the consequence is still there. You see, so respect is compromised, trust is compromised, and pure love is compromised. And so the reason why the majority of marriages don't end well, they end in divorce, is because of premarital sex. If you like, whoever go to the courts and do some research and ask 100 people who are getting divorced, how many of them had sex before they got married, and you will get almost 100% telling you that that's what happened. Yeah, you see. But then also you must understand that human beings are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings. We have got souls. We live in a body. Okay, and because marriage is the only institution that was established before man fell, men cannot handle marriage in the fallen states unless they use God's principles. So when people are having challenges in marriage, and you say, oh, okay, the wife submit to the husband love your wife, do this and do that, do this and do that, you see, it doesn't work because the source of the problem has not been handled. And the source of the problem is that man in his carnal, non-Christ-like state cannot handle the other person well. See? So the best solution for marriage is for both the woman and the man to grow in Christ-likeness and become like Christ. When you think like Christ, you treat your wife well. When you think like Christ, you treat your husband well.
When you think like Christ.
When you think like Christ,
you treat your partner, your wife well.
Well, yes.
When you think like Christ, you treat your husband well.
Yes, if you think like Christ, you won't shout at your wife. You won't beat her up. You won't cheat on her. You know, for her. You'll be willing to do things for her. You wouldn't insist that she must do this and this and this for you. What Christ is doing for the church is what a Christ-like husband does for the wife. If you do that, your wife will always love you and respect you. And if you're a wife and you're also thinking like Christ, and you have shown your husband reverence and love, and you submit to him, and you also play your role as the right person, what the wife should do, okay, things are likely to work. But even if you are doing this thing and things are still not working, then you must also suspect that in certain families, there are curses and spiritual issues in the families that must be handled. You see, many people enter marriage and they assume that their families cannot have an influence on them, but they are. You see, they are, yes. Some, in fact, when they are going through premarital counseling, my counselees, I challenge them, if you are starting a relationship, go for deliverance, go for a retreat first, pray about your lives, and then let God reveal to you things that you must tackle in your lives, and then go for deliverance. If you don't believe in deliverance, that's too bad, because you'll be affected. You see, if you go for deliverance and there's no manifestation, then you are free to go. But most likely there will be some altars somewhere in your background, third and fourth generation back, may be fighting against you. You see, there are some families, marriages don't work.
Okay.
So don't assume that because you've gone to university, yours is going to work. You know, you have to deal with the issues first, even if you're a Christian. Because the promise that God has given us, they have the legal aspect of it and the experiential aspect. You see, when God promised Abraham, I'll give you the land of Canaan for you and for your descendants after you, it was a legal promise. But when the Israelites came from Egypt 400 years later, they had to fight for every bit of land they occupied. It was not free. So experientially, you must fight for what is right, yours legally. Okay. So demons are like cockroaches in a drawer, in the cabinet in the kitchen. If you don't drive them out, they'll be there. They'll live there and mess the place up. The day you decide to clean them out, they'll start scattering and going away. And demons have been in your life because of certain things that happen to you. If you don't cast them out, they'll be there and they'll cause trouble for you. You see, I have had the privilege of having at least 100 deliverances for students when I was teaching high school. And every one of them I documented. I had a file for deliverance. I wrote your name, and the demons are manifested. I wrote their names. And I realized that almost everybody who came for deliverance, their middle name was used by a demon. So the person is called Alice Ntriwa Ochre. Then the demon manifests. What's your name? My name is Ntriwa. How do you enter this girl? The day they were naming her, then I entered. How? Oh, the elders, the grandfathers and uncles were there, they poured libation. So as they were pouring the libation, I entered here. You see, this girl will grow up later on and become a born-again Christian. But that foundation is still there. Christ gives you the authority to deal with it. But if you don't deal with it, it will be there. Okay? Sometimes if you are living right and holy living, and also a lot of worship, can let the demons live by themselves. But many times they have to be cast out. You see. So don't enter a relationship, the two of you alone, and think that you can make things work. You need help. You see, one professor, Odre made a statement some time ago when he was on campus, that look, when you get married, you and your husband and your wife, you are living your private lives alone. But before you get married, you have no business running the relationship alone. You need help. You must get mentors.
We need help. We might get mentors. Yes, as you said. When the man himself has spoken, they have this, I don't know how to give these proverbs, but we are learning. I'm learning. When it gets to a level like this, I'm always quiet because I have to grab. Please grab every lesson that you have to take from this interview. Grab it, and always remember the age that you're supposed to get into relationship and also to get married. Then what should someone look up for in a partner before entering into a relationship or into marriage with that person?
Okay, so in life, many things that we do have multiple keys or multiple factors. Okay, so if you want to get into a relationship, I think that two fundamental things that you need to look out for is number one, teachableness.
Okay.
Is the man teachable? Is the one teachable? If your husband is teachable and he's misbehaving and his mentors talk, they will listen. Okay. If he's not teachable, forget about it. Okay. The second is yieldedness. the person must be willing to yield to the other person. So a man must be willing to yield to the wife.
Okay.
The wife must be willing to yield to the husband. You see. And when you have the spirit of yieldedness in you, you are humble. You see. Even though the Bible says women must submit to their husbands as the church submits to Christ, the same Bible says that we must submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. You see. Yeah. So it means that husbands can also submit to their wives. For example, on 3 different occasions, I was traveling with a family car. Mommy says, "Don't go with the car." I said, "Oh, I'll go and come." Every single time I travel with a car for ministry, the car goes spoiled. You see, the last time I didn't do that silly thing again was when I was traveling to Kofredua with a team of my ministry young members for an anniversary program. And she said, "I go with the car." I said, "No, I'll park the car at Zongo Junction. We'll take a vehicle going to Kofredua and then we'll go and come. After that, we'll take the car and come home." When we got to Zongo Junction, it was an American Dodge, very, very comfortable car. And the students were in the back, they were just talking. And I said, "How can we go park this car and get out, go take and come Cobra?" And when we were coming, we had an accident. Wow. The car was damaged. You see, I got to the house, I parked the car, Mommy came out, saw the accident car, and never said a word up to now. I was so ashamed. I wish she had just asked what happened, so at least I can say something. But she didn't say anything. She just went in, and from that day I said, "No, I will never disobey my wife again." You see. So if I'm traveling and my wife says, "Oh, it's late, sleep," I'll just go and put my bag down and I'll sleep. I want to do something. My wife says, "No, I don't think you have to do it this way." I'll stop. I don't throw my wife off. Yeah. A certain gentleman wanted to travel for a conference outside the country. The wife said, "No, you're on medication. Don't go." "Oh, Mikaba." He went and died in another country. Oh. And they brought his coffin with his dead body in it to Ghana to bury. You see. When they visited the wife, she was talking to herself, said, "Oh, how for you men, when we talk, because you are women, you don't listen. You don't listen." And from every indication, if he hadn't gone, he probably would have been alive. Yeah. You see. Because when you are flying, the pressure in the plane is not as on the ground. Okay. So if you have some medical condition, you may not have to be flying. Okay. When the plane takes off, as the plane is going up, you realize that your ears will start aching. Yeah. Because the air pressure in the cabin is reducing. Yeah. Okay, so it affects your eardrums, and when the plane is landing, the same thing happens. So you shouldn't travel if you have issues with certain types of medical conditions. Mm-hmm. But that's what happened. We must listen to our wives and husbands. So yieldedness and teachability. You see, the other things are the fact that, number one, you must have the same degree of intelligence level. You see, it doesn't mean that you must all be university graduates, but if you're all graduates, it's even far better because you can think alike. You see, but if there's a disparity, one is a graduate, one is not. When you get down, you are talking. One shouldn't feel intimidated. You see, but sometimes men will go for girls who are far below them in education, and then after committing them to marry them, they now realize that when they meet their own intellectual mates, like let's say you came to the University of Ghana, you've met your classmates who are all educated, and you're talking. Your wife cannot talk to them because she's not educated. Yeah. Then you now feel embarrassed of your wife, and then you start dating somebody else. Mm. So the intellectual congruence means that there must be a harmony between the way you people think. You must be able to. If you are sitting down and you are talking about issues in life, talking about governance, about politics, about world issues, you must be able to contribute well. Not that they are just sitting down listening. It shouldn't be like that. And I advise women, if you are going to marry a man whose education is far below yours, it can create problems. Okay. Even if they are men of God. You see, because men by nature want to be dominating, and if the wife is far above them, it causes them to feel some insecurity, and so they try to make up for that by forcing the woman to submit. And women too, if they are not already very godly, they rebel.
Okay.
See? So there must be that intellectual congruence. Then the second thing is that you must also be spiritually, harmonized. That means that you must have the same spiritual, orientation. Okay.
Yes.
In 1 Corinthians 7:39, the Bible says that a woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives. But if he dies, he is free to marry any man of her choice, but he must belong to the Lord. So if you're born again Christian, you must marry a born again Christian man or woman who is growing in Christ. Okay? If you're a Christian and you marry an unbeliever, it's a big mistake. When we went to India, I've been to India a couple of times for ministry. We met this fine gentleman, and I learned he was an accountant, but he's mad. How did that happen? This fine gentleman wanted to marry a Hindu woman, and the family said, "Hey, you're a Christian. How can you marry a Hindu?" But the girl was too beautiful. So the man said, no, she's the one I married. They did everything. He married the Hindu woman. And the spirits of Hinduism and Christianity, they don't merge. You can't merge light and darkness.
Yeah.
You see. So after some time, a lot of attacks in the family, and then he became mad.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy, God should bless you. I've learned a lot. You see, my voice has changed. So this one is more like I've come for counseling. Today we are all here for counseling. Generational changes, as we all know, inspiring people, making positive impact in the lives of our generations. We bring your way, things that will educate you, inspire you, and make positive impact, things that will help you achieve your dream, things that will make life more easier for all of us. And today we are learning a lot. Please write them down, and don't just write them down. Don't just watch this interview, don't just listen. Write every point down and pray so that God will also help all of us, for all of us not to be only listeners but also apply it in our daily life. Daddy, we are wrapping up. We know that we have.
Are you sure you are okay with the factors for?
We are okay.
You are okay.
We are okay.
Because there were other important things that.
In case of anything, we will still contact you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
So I know that you will need more advice. So Daddy, we will get your contact. So in case of anything, you contact us. Maybe you want to come and see Daddy in person. You want to communicate with Daddy in person, and you're going to get it. But still my food. So we will still have Daddy because of my food. Daddy, I know that a lot of people always approach their friends, okay, me when I have issue in marriage, that's what most people say. I approach my mom, I approach my friends, I approach this. And Daddy, in marriage, wrapping up in marriage issues, when it comes to marriage issues, who should we approach? Who is the best person for us to approach? And also, Daddy, in conclusion, what advice do you have for the parents and also the youth?
Okay, so in marriage, who do you see when you have problems? Your mentors.
Okay.
Okay. And what about parents? Parents are good, but every parent is more emotionally oriented towards their child, the marriage, than the other spouse. You see, so if your son is the one who is having issues with the wife, most likely you will have sympathy for your son than for the wife, most likely.
Yeah.
So it's better to get a neutral counselor who can handle both in a very fair way. And I suggest that young people get themselves mentors when they are not even married yet. Because if you have a mentor before you get married, and that mentor is taking you through the journey, almost like this will work well. I've been counseling for the past almost 30 years. And I've realized that most of the young people who pass through our hands, my wife and I, and receive our counseling and they get married, they don't have issues in marriage that are so difficult they cannot handle. You see, when they have issues that they cannot handle, they come back to us. But most of the time when they come to us, they're not coming to us because they need help, but they're coming to us because they want to know what to do in other cases of people who have brought their cases to them. You understand? Hey. So if you are not married, get a counselor. And the young men, before you propose to any woman, go and see your counselor first. Let him give you his blessing before you go ahead. And then the woman, before you say yes to any man, go and see your counselor first. You see. And I'll just give you an example of this one before I finish with how to handle marital problems. Okay. There was a time when this young lady wanted to go and say yes to a guy he had kept away from her for a long time. The guy, and I told her, look, if you go and say yes to him, because he has waited for you for so many years, when you go and say yes, he'll be so happy that you open his arms for a hug. Don't give it. Then he said, why not? I said, because if you give that hug, you can't control what will happen later. And when she went and told the guy, Susan, so I'll be your wife. The guy was so happy he opened his arms for a hug, and then she said, I won't give it. Why not? Because if I give you this hug, we will not control what can happen later. And then she said that as soon as I made that statement, I could see respect in the guy's eyes for me. You see, they dated and got married. The day they got married, I preached. I asked them in front of the whole church, the two of you, have you had sex? They said no. Did you fondle each other? No. Did you kiss each other? No. Did you have indiscriminate hugging of each other? They said no. Everybody was shouting. And then the lady told me that, Daddy, when my friends left our wedding, some of them went and broke up their relationships. Another girl to the same week called me, Daddy, can I talk to you? I want you to know that this guy, do you remember the day he came to our university? I said yes. This guy who was headed by me, did you see him? I said yes. And then he says, well, I want you to know that he proposed to me and I accepted it. And I said, why did you tell me first? I'm sorry, Daddy. I said, it's not about being sorry, it's about doing the right thing. I would have challenged you to keep the relationship pure. Did you do any sex, fondling, kissing, or hugging? She was quiet. Then later on, she said, I'll come and see you. She came and cried. And I said, you see, you made the mistake you made because you didn't talk to your mentor. Yeah. So if you talk to your mentors at the beginning of the relationship and then you have challenges later and you go to them, they can help you to solve it. You see. So I want to suggest that every couple, even though your church will give the formal 6 months counseling or so before the wedding, have informal counselors who can hold you when things are difficult in the marriage. Okay. I mean, what advice I'll give to you before I come to the parents is that don't be in a rush to enter relationships, because relationships can destroy you completely. If you go to the mental hospitals right now, about 70 to 80% of the women there are there because of broken relationships. You see, because relationship can affect your body, soul, and spirit. If you are young and you go out, most likely you can mess up your purity. You see, so make sure that you have a mentor who can handle you, give direction before you decide to go into a relationship. But for now, build yourself up. You see, if you are going into a relationship, you must make sure that you also know your calling. If you are the man, what has God called you to do? Right? You must have an idea of what your calling is. One of the ladies that I felt interested in at first, he told me that, Prophet, I know that you are young, you like the youth, I don't like the youth. And I said, if you don't like the youth, then you cannot go ahead, because God has called me to minister to the youth. And if you don't like the youth, I can't do anything with you. One man who was a child evangelist got married to a woman who didn't like children. So when the children come to the house, she will sack them. You see? So you must pray and ask God, what calling do you have for me? What work do you have for me in your ministry? And then get a husband or a wife who fits into that situation. Okay. And for the parents, God wants us to give 4 things to our children. Number 1, God wants us to give our children moral authority. Let them know what is right and wrong. Number two, we must give our children identity. Let them know that even though they may not be better than their friends, they are different from them. Okay, and they are children of God. Okay. Number three, give them affirmation. Let them know that you love them, and when they do the right thing, give them, praise them. Okay. And number four, give them emotional security. Let them know that they are safe with you. If girls have fathers who show them affection, they won't go after guys. So a lot of fathers are losing their daughters because they don't show them enough affection. Okay. So that's what I'll just leave with the fathers and the parents, and then also with the youth, unless there's something else you want me to say.
You have said it already. You know me, when my voice starts reducing, meaning that I've learned a lot. Hey, I didn't know so many things. So God richly bless you, baby. God richly bless you. Apostle Dr. Croffet.
Gordon Egyir Croffet.
Croffet. Croffet. Yeah, I love your name. I love your name. When we were coming, the kid was like, "Are you looking for Daddy Croffet?" Say yes. But me, I was still pronouncing the Prophet. Daddy, God richly bless you. We have learned a lot. As I said earlier, please write everything down. Write the points down. Parents, treat your kids well. Please, marriage is very important in life. So that's why generational changes will bring all those who have knowledge. He's 65 years and he has married for 30 years. 30 good years. So it's not a small thing. Please. God richly bless you for staying true, and we are always grateful for your love, as we all know, for supporting, for subscribing. Please continue to subscribe, continue to like, and continue to share. I know most of us know after watching the interview, you come to my WhatsApp, to comment. Please leave all comments in the comment section, and we'll get to know who you are. We need all these comments. Your comments in the comment section might even inspire others. Maybe you have something else to say concerning whatever we discuss. Maybe your statement or your comments might even inspire another person also. So that's why we continue to love you. God richly bless this book. Yeah, so my director just give it out to me. I have this book from Prophetess Precious Ama Ejikun. Let it go. We all need this book. Please grab a copy. You can even buy it for all your loved ones. The best gift you can give to someone is a book that will inspire the person. And then if you know that a lot of people will still come your way, just like how the last time you didn't listen to mommy, and you had an accident. Mommy is not actually talking. She didn't say that. This is the best gift to give to her, for her to just prepare I know you have already prepared the palm nut soup, for her, but this book too will also help you, God richly bless you, Daddy, for staying true, and God richly bless all our sponsors, Sotorep. God richly bless you, all the beautiful designs, the flyers, the videos that you have been seeing. They are the one doing it, Sotorep Designs. And I'm always saying this because you are my loved ones, okay? We are giving you a discount. So contact me and I will make sure that discount is given to you, okay? And you get the best and the best. God richly bless you, and God richly bless everybody, whoever, whatever way that you are supporting us. God richly bless you all. We love you so much. Have a nice day, and we will come your way with another great segment. But don't forget, write everything down, pray over it, and apply it. Together we can make it. Together we can achieve it. I love you all. We love you all.